Filbert Joseph Martocci Jr. was born on August 1st, 1933. He was born in the city of Baltimore, Maryland, to his father Filbert Joseph Sr. and mother Mary. Phil was one of 3 brothers. His other 2 brothers were Robert and Paul Martocci. While there's not very much detailed information pertaining to Phil's early life, it's assumed he spent his early years of life schooling and growing up with his family in Baltimore. By the time Filbert was 18, the United States had entrenched itself in one of the bloodiest stalemate wars of all time, the Korean War. Phil served in the United States military during this time, before eventually coming back home at the end of the war. When Filbert came back, he eventually moved to Nashville, Tennessee, where he began his career of entrepreneurship. Phil became one of the greatest and most well-known businessmen in the Nashville area. Phil during this time grew a family. Over the span of his life, he had 1 son and 6 daughters. And by the 1980s, Phil also began feeling one of his passions from his childhood. Phil had an admiration for horses, and from the success of his businesses, he started his own farm to raise walking horses for competition. The ranch became extremely successful, producing multiple world champions. And finally, Phil in the early 70s discovered another passion: racing. In the mid-70s, he began sponsoring drivers at local tracks in Tennessee, and eventually started his own drag racing team in the IHRA. The IHRA is the 2nd largest drag racing organization in America, and today is currently listed as a non-for-profit. But Martocci in 1988 won the Top Alcohol Funny Car Championship, and after that success, he decided to try NASCAR. Martocci put together the resources and officially established Fil Mar Racing. In his first year for 1989, the team hired Bobby Hamilton to drive for them. This was Hamilton's first opportunity at a high level of racing, and with crew chief Kip McCord, the man who took Mike Alexander to a victory in 1988 at Hickory, the potential was there. The team had a humble start to the year, with their best run being a 2nd at Nashville. They also struggled at the bigger tracks. However, on September 9th, 1989, the dots connected. All day Hamilton dueled with Tommy Ellis, Tommy Houston, Rick Wilson, and Mark Martin. Then nearing the end of the race, hometown hero Tommy Ellis began stalking Hamilton in the lead. Hamilton runs the top line, holding off Ellis, and as the laps tick away, rookie Bobby Hamilton's wife watches on nervously.
Time, white flag is out, 1 to go. Ellis closes in turn number 1. Tommy Ellis, this is it. Into 1, Ellis diving lower, moves in, creeping closer out of turn number 2. Back straightaway, rookie Hamilton holding on. Ellis falls back a little going into number 3.
We're into traffic.
White can't watch. We're into traffic as we come out of number 4, coming down to the line. And a new winner, the 15th different winner of 1989 in NASCAR Grand National Racing, and you're about to meet a new star.
Hamilton and Martocci win together and become the ultimate underdog. The car Martocci ran that day had very little sponsorship on it, but that was by intention. According to Phil, he intentionally would not look for sponsorship on his cars because he knew he could fund his own rides, and it would keep the politics and controversy out of his team when he would do so. In 1990, Hamilton again drove the 8 car, and results improved marginally. While no wins, a pair of thirds at Volusia and South Boston headlined their season. By the end of the year, Phil had put Tick Financial on the car, a company I cannot confirm nor deny was one of Phil's. In my research, I'm leaning more towards yes, but cannot confirm that this was in fact another one of Phil's businesses. Either way, Tick was on the car again in 1991. This time, David Green was tapped to drive the car. Just like Bobby Hamilton, this was also David Green's first big opportunity in NASCAR. And their first race together, they won the pole at Daytona. They led 11 laps, but crashed out on lap 23. The team overall ran modest again, but claimed Phil's 2nd career win as an owner at Lanier early in the season. After 1991, Phil for 1992 gave both a young driver and a young crew chief opportunities to perform. Jeff Burton drove the TIC car for 1992 with crew chief Gil Martin. Those two attained Phil's 3rd win as an owner at Loudon. They returned for 1993 and again won at Myrtle Beach. After 2 seasons with Phil, Burton left to pursue another 8 ride in Cup. Not knowing who to hire, Phil received a phone call from Kenny Wallace. Wallace asked if he could drive Phil's 8 car for 1994, and Phil graciously accepted. He later told Kenny that he had not considered him due to his success and thought that Kenny would be too high profile to run for his team. In 1994, they had their greatest success, Wallace won 3 times and finished 4th in standings, claiming victories at Bristol, Richmond, and Martinsville. Kenny made headlines with the win at Bristol in particular. On the same weekend and back-to-back nights, Kenny and his brother Rusty won at the famed track, giving significant recognition to him and the Martocci team. In 1995, they decided to try Cup for the first time, and while running a partial Cup schedule, they also ran a 15-race Busch schedule. They won again at Richmond and attempted 20 Cup races, making 11. In those 11 starts, they achieved a best finish of 18th at Dover. In 1996, they cut back their Busch schedule to 10 races and went full-time in Cup. The team won again at Richmond and made 30 of the 31 Cup races for 1996. Highlights for the Cup season were a 7th at Rockingham, leading 6 laps in the Spring Dagger race, and a 10th at the Fall Martinsville race. They had made every race until they DNQ'd the last race in 1996. In 1997, Fil Mar ran 1 race in Busch, a race that would be their last Busch start ever. Again, it was Richmond, and although they had great previous history there, they only got 26th. In Cup, however, things had a little bit more promise. 2 poles at Martinsville and Bristol, along with a pair of 6th place finishes at both Martinsville races. That gave them a little more promise. However, during the season, big changes occurred. Longtime Fil Mar crew chief Gil Martin was let go due to personal reasons between he and Phil, and Newt Moore was instilled at the helm. Gil would go on to work with Dave Blaney in the coming years, and eventually have a successful career in motorsports. The replacement was Newt Moore, who was just like nearly every other person that Phil had hired, a rookie crew chief trying to get his feet wet. In 1998, Newt Moore and Kenny Wallace took on the season and achieved 7 top 10s. Newt would be replaced though near the end of the season by David Ift, and eventually 1989 champion crew chief Barry Dotson would crew chief a race. It would be at Phoenix, where Wallace got 8th, but after the season, Kenny politely told Phil that he was leaving the team, and he took one of Phil's only exterior sponsors with him in Square D. While Phil contemplated running different drivers, he instead sold the team to an organization titled Pinnacle Motorsports Group. The team, however, wouldn't make it past 2001. By 1999, Fil Martocci was 66 years old and ready for retirement. His career as not only a NASCAR owner, but as a businessman and entrepreneur gave him the ability to enjoy his golden years. And on December 31st, we lost Fil Martocci at the age of 88. Whilst many people know Phil for his time as a NASCAR owner, there was so much more to him than just that. And the best way to summarize that would be with this: a story written on Phil's tribute page a week after his passing from his nephew.